Monday, May 2nd, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including an update on a fatal Route 8 crash over the weekend and a new Canaan man arrested for climbing the Brooklyn Bridge. Rob Adams will have a look at the forecast and a Nutmeg Sports update, and Donald Ang will take a look back on this day in history. We also have a special guest joining us by phone later from Child Care Learning Centers talking about their work and an upcoming fundraiser. But first, on to today's news. A Stratford man died on Saturday morning after his car was involved in a crash on Route 8 near Exit 7 in Trumbull. According to state police, 61-year-old Clifford Voigt of 480 James Farm Road was pronounced dead at St. Vincent's Medical Center on Saturday morning following the three-car wreck. Police said Voigt was traveling south on Route 8 at about 9:30 in the morning between exits 8 and 7 when the accident occurred. State police said a Suzuki sport utility vehicle driven by 29-year-old Jonathan Hernandez of Wallingford dramatically reduced speed in the left lane, causing Derek Michaels, 32 years old of Vernon, to slow down his Jeep Grand Cherokee. As both of those vehicles slowed or stopped, Voigt's Nissan Maxima forcibly struck Vernon's vehicle, which caused Vernon's vehicle to hit Hernandez's car. Voigt was transported by Trumbull EMS to St. Vincent's Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead from injuries suffered. Hernandez was also taken to St. Vincent's Medical Center for treatment of minor injuries and later released. Michaels reported no injuries. And for updates on that story, you can check StratfordStar.com. A Bridgeport man jumped or fell to his death from a sixth-floor window at a public housing complex early this morning, according to the Connecticut Post. The man, who was not immediately identified, likely jumped from the window and was pronounced dead, according to Av Harris, the police department spokesman. The man may have been under the influence of drugs, officials said, and toxicology tests are being conducted as part of an autopsy. Deputy Chief Dominic Carfey said that they were called to Building 2 at Green Homes shortly after 3 in the morning on a report that someone had jumped from the 6th floor. When they arrived, the man had already been transported by ambulance. Firefighters then washed down the site, cleaning up blood and other materials, according to the deputy chief. And a New Canaan man was one of 2 people charged by New York City police with reckless endangerment and trespassing on Saturday morning, April 30th, after they attempted to climb up a beam of the Brooklyn Bridge in order to take a photograph of the sunrise. 24-year-old Scott Lockett of New Canaan and 25-year-old Sean Cody of Southport were arrested after trying to scale a beam in the middle of the bridge shortly after 6 in the morning. Police arrived and ordered them down, then booked them. And a Monroe man was arrested on weapons charges after he was stopped by the Transportation Security Administration officers at LaGuardia Airport on April 28th with a loaded gun. According to TSA officials, officers detected the firearm, a .38 caliber semi-automatic, in the man's laptop bag as he was passing through the airport checkpoint. It was loaded with 6 rounds of ammunition. The man, who was not identified by the TSA, told officers that he had forgotten that he had the gun with him. Port Authority police confiscated the gun and arrested the man. There was no impact to airport operations. TSA spokesman Lisa Farbstein said the incident serves as a reminder that passengers are responsible for the contents of bags they bring to the security checkpoint, and TSA advises to passengers to look through their bags thoroughly before coming to the airport. Passengers who bring firearms to the checkpoint are subject to possible criminal charges from law enforcement and civil penalties up to $11,000. And there was big news over the weekend for families who have been fighting for an amendment to Connecticut's medical marijuana law. By a 23-11 vote, the Connecticut State Senate passed an amendment to House Bill 5450 on Friday that would allow children with uncontrolled seizures and other severe neurological conditions to have access to medical marijuana. The Connecticut House of Representatives had passed the amended bill by 129-13 vote on April 20th. For Wilton resident Dana Haddox-Wright, the bill's progress is part of a multi-year struggle to gain some relief for her 6-year-old daughter Ella, who suffers from a rare genetic epileptic brain dysfunction called Dravet syndrome that causes her to have uncontrolled seizures. The day after the bill's passing in the Senate, Haddox-Wright told the Wilton Bulletin that she and other parents who have been advocating for the legalization of medical cannabis to treat children are incredibly relieved by the passing of this important bill. She said our legislators gave medical professionals and parents the freedom to make the important choices as it pertains to health. However, State Senator Tony Boucher was among those who voted against the bill during the Senate session. Before the vote was taken, Boucher said she would not be voting in favor of the bill because it would be ill-advised and extremely dangerous, she said, for our youngest and most vulnerable children. And Darien police are investigating whether 2 suspects arrested in Stanford are responsible for a house burglary that happened in Darien on April 21st. The resident of Holmes Court contacted police at about 3 in the afternoon on April 21st to report electronics missing from the home. Among those missing items was an Xbox One and several games, as well as an iPad and 2 laptops. About $300 in cash was also reported stolen from wallets that were in the home, and the resident had been home for about 30 minutes before realizing that the items were missing. Police said they received a call about a pair of suspicious males with concealed faces and backpacks that were riding their bikes through the area at about 11 a.m. that day. The Stanford Police Department told Darien officers that they had similar reports in the Cove area of Stanford during the same period and were able to apprehend 2 suspects the following day. According to police, one of those suspects is a juvenile while the other is an adult. Officers were able to interview the suspects and are still investigating whether the 2 are responsible for the Darien burglary. And progress is being made on New Canaan's new post office. Town resident and developer Richard Karatu is erecting the 2-story New England-style brick building on track for an August 2016 completion. Karatu reported that 6 senior post office officials recently visited the site, and they're pleased with the building's progress. Karatu acknowledged the importance of constant communication with the USPS executives. The second floor, which is about 3,000 square feet, is available for lease. You can get more on that story at ncadvertiser.com. And we're going to throw it over to Rob Adams now for a look at the forecast. Rob?
Morning, Kate. Good morning, everyone. I'd say happy Monday. However, if you look outside, it's not all that happy. A chance of showers and thunderstorms mainly before 2 o'clock this afternoon. Then we'll have isolated thunderstorms after 5. Now, a lot of games, of course, and I make my trade in sports. A lot of games are going to be impacted by that, including perhaps the game that we have on tap later today. We will find out if they're able to get that game in. We're hoping. Patchy fog before noon, otherwise a cloudy day and a high near 54. Wind will not be a problem. Slight chance of drizzle or light rain before midnight, rain likely after midnight with patchy fog, and otherwise a cloudy night with the low around 50, so we're not dropping that far. The wind out of the southwest at 6. To Tuesday, rain mainly before noon, then patchy fog after that, and a high near 59, and the chance of rain near 80%. To Tuesday night, chance of showers mainly between 1 in the morning and 4 on Wednesday morning, and patchy fog otherwise mostly cloudy and a low around 47. Chance of showers as we move into Wednesday in the morning hours, otherwise a cloudy day and a high near 60. Only 47 for Wednesday night, chance of showers and 60 for Thursday, chance of showers and 62 for Friday, chance of showers and 63 for Saturday, and wait, a chance of showers and 65 for Sunday. I'm sorry, not the best of news here this week. We do need some rain, but still, it's spring. We want the nicer temperatures and the sunny times and stuff like that. Norwalk, you have 50. Westport, you have 50, and we're looking to get to maybe 55. Shelton, we're only at 50 degrees, Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Dang takes a look back on this day in history. We have some more news, and Rob has your Nutmeg Sports update after this.
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking, to a partner that makes small businesses feel big, where community comes first, where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver, where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well. With the 24-month Bank Well Smart CD, you can earn 1.25% APY and raise your rate and add to your CD.
Had a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or go to coastalorthoexpress.com. That's coastalorthoexpress.com. Like them on Facebook.
A Better View Window Cleaning Plus has been cleaning glass all over Connecticut for over 20 years. They also specialize in cleaning chandeliers, mirrors, skylights, tiles, and will power wash anything that needs cleaning. They hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and are fully insured and bonded. When you deal with a Better View, you're dealing with the best, not the rest. Call today for a free estimate, 203-284-8836, or visit them online, abetterviewcleaning.com.
Hi, I'm Rob Adams with my good friend Donald Eng, and we're the home team for Nutmeg Sports, Monday through Wednesday at 2 o'clock right here on the HAN Network. We are the place for all things Connecticut sports, so come hang out with us on Nutmeg Sports. Don? They don't call him the best color man in the game for nothing. Nutmeg Sports, 2 o'clock Monday through Wednesday right here on the HAN Network.
And we're back on this Monday edition of your coffee break on the HAN Network, and it's time to throw it over to Donald Eng for a look back on this day in history. Don.
Well, Kate, an unusual event today. The most famous thing that happened on May 2nd, the country found out about on May 1st. But first we're going to go back to 1611, the King James Version of the Bible published for the first time in London. This was actually the third English translation following the Great Bible of 1535 and the Bishop's Bible of 1568. The new version was a response to complaints from Puritans about the earlier translations, and King James himself ordered the translators to ensure that the new version would conform to current church teachings and reflect the hierarchical structure of the Church of England and its belief in an ordained clergy. By the way, if you ever wondered why biblical folks speak like Shakespearean actors, now you know. To 1918, General Motors acquires the Chevrolet Motor Company of Delaware. Chevy had been founded by ousted GM President William Durant. In 1911, Durant then engineered the reverse merger of the companies, getting Chevy taken over by GM and getting himself renamed GM President. 2012, a pastel version of The Scream by Norwegian painter Edvard Munch sells for $120 million in a New York City auction. That is a world record for art sales, as far as we know. The Scream may have sold for more money, though, because versions of it were stolen from the National Gallery in Oslo in 1994, and another version from the Munch Museum in 2004. Both of them were later recovered, though people really, really like that painting. And finally, now we go to 2011 for this.
Now the pitch, and it's line foul into the seats down the third base line. 1 ball, 1 strike, and I'll tell you what's going on. The crowd is chanting USA, and the reason for that is that there are reports circulating, I am not sure if they've yet been confirmed by the White House, that Osama bin Laden is dead. How that's happened, we don't know, but this crowd now knows it. It's amazing how things seem so important for the moment, like they did when Ryan Howard batted with the bases loaded. And then if it's true that Osama bin Laden has been captured, killed, or whatever, it just takes you back to that awful, awful day. And you wonder why you get so upset or worked up over a baseball game in the first place.
It's at early in the morning of May 2nd, Osama bin Laden, suspected mastermind behind the September 11th attacks and FBI's most wanted man, killed by U.S. Special Forces in Abbottabad, Pakistan. However, most Americans found out about it late on the night of May 1st due to the 9-hour time difference. Kind of strange to think about. Bin Laden killed on the morning of May 2nd. The president delivered the news to the American people on May 1st. That is your look back in history, and I'm Donald Eng.
Thanks so much, Don. I still remember that photograph where President Obama, Hillary Clinton as the Secretary of State, they're all sitting in the
Right, and he's wearing like a
Situation
baseball
Room
jacket,
watching
kind
the
of.
live
Yeah.
coverage, and Hillary Clinton has her hand over her mouth. It's just, wow. Big moment in
5
history.
years ago.
I know, hard to believe. All right, thanks so much, Don. Well, getting back to a little more news today, nearly 400 residents packed the Shelton Intermediate School auditorium in hopes of persuading the Planning and Zoning Commission to reject the 121-acre Shelter Ridge proposal and zone change. The developer's attorney and site engineers spent about the first hour and a half of the public meeting explaining a modified site plan. Some residents left before the public portion began. Site attorney Dominic Thomas said the plans to include a medical building and assisted living facility are no longer a guarantee. Residents have voiced their disapproval of the proposal and zone change prior to the meeting and continued to do so during the public portion. Most want that zone to remain open for light industrial use rather than be changed to a planned development district, which has been used frequently with Shelton developers for the past 30 years. Over 90 residents wrote down their names requesting to speak, which resulted in Planning and Zoning extending the public portion to Thursday, May 31st. But we're going to throw it over to Rob Adams now for a Nutmeg Sports update.
All right, Kate, good morning once again, everyone. It was a meeting of two of the best boys lacrosse teams in the country at Darien on Saturday, and we have the highlights. In the polls, you could be talking about number 5 versus number 6, number 3 versus number 12. It doesn't matter. It's a big lacrosse showdown here in Connecticut, Frank.
Let's agree on one thing. We've got number 1 versus number 2 in Connecticut playing today. It's a rivalry game. It's a charity game. It's a beautiful day, and this could be as exciting a game we'll cover all year.
We've talked about it. Starting Stewart. Stewart behind the cage, back to Richmond. Down to 12. As we head down, under 10 to go in the first. Down on net, and they score! Liam Richmond, 1-0 Darien.
And it was-
Knocked aside, now cutting down and on net, Finley Collins, 2-0.
Finley Collins gets a goal, but it's Colin Minikis who makes this play. Jack Book fired a shot, that's Jake Book, fired a shot wide hard on the left side, and Minikis standing there instead of letting it go out of bounds, able to catch it, control it, and finds Finley in front. And this is a big matchup to watch. The Rams are trying to get Ryan O'Connell into some space here, but he is struggling because he's matched up against Mark Ivanchuk, who is one of, if not the best defenders in the state. As it's Graham Braden who breaks through.
Braden able to cut the deficit to 2-1. As it's turned right back around and taken away by Cognetta. New Canaan in the need of an answer. Let's see if they've got it. Here they do.
And it's Braden again. He's alone in front, left alone for the breakaway, and he finishes again. Twice now we've seen defensive breakdowns that have cost the Wave a Braden goal.
Bill Bloxham said to me at halftime, what do you think, 1,000, maybe 2? It's a pretty big crowd. As this scores from Clayton Burt, it's now 5-4.
And the future Syracuse Orange player coming hard around the left side of the net. Quick little shot up high. Looked like it might have been a changeup in Cornell's eyes, but a nice job from the senior to start.
As they'll set things and slow things down. 8:13 to go, third quarter. And defense from across the way. Those stands, let's call it 80% full, but it's the Blue Wave getting the score. Colin Minikis. It's a 6-4 game. 2 players there, Ivanchuk one of them, but it's scooped right back up.
And this is a big opportunity for the Rams here as Ryan O'Connell's now drawing a short stick, but it doesn't matter.
Clayton Burt, the bouncer gets through, and it's 6-5.
And that's one Cornell is going to want to have back. The bounce shot from 13 yards is not one you traditionally score on. But
they'll play catch along the football numbers, go back behind the cage. Clayton Burt back there in the black with the white and red of New Canaan.
And you want to talk about a crazy change of events. Imagine if that Holzer goal, Holzer shot finds the back of the net.
In this case, it's Clayton Burt. 9-6. Burt riding the hot hand right now, 5:28 to go. Again, off the scoreboard today is the guy wearing 13. He's got it right now.
Going at it with Swindell. Could be a football game.
And this is thrown, and top shelf, Clayton Burt. Oh, a lot of life left. It's 9-7. 9-7, 90 seconds remaining.
Once again, on your way out, if you have
Morris is going to vacate the net now. They'll double team the ball as much as they can. We'll see if the Wave will take a chance at scoring here.
They're going to have a shot. Niffin. There it is.
Darien up by 3 at the 117 mark.
And that's the hat trick for Niffin now, too.
Thanks, Rob. I'm here with Ryan Cornell, the winning goaltender. Ryan, congrats on the win today. How'd you guys get it done?
First off, thank you for the congrats. We've just been practicing all week, setting up with the 2-pole, getting Mark up on the midfielder. Rock and Mark, they both shut down their middies. They gave me the shots that I wanted to see. Hats off to them, and hats off to New Canaan. They did a great job. They kept fighting. But I think Rock really saved the game with that last interception down on that last defensive possession.
Jack Niffin and Kevin Lindley both scored 3 times for the Blue Wave. Clayton Burt had 4 goals for New Canaan. Darien took the 10-7 victory. They remain perfect at 9-0. The Rams dropped to 9-1 on the scoreboard. In softball, it was St. Joseph beating Darien 5-0 as Hannah Hutchison had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Switching back over to boys lacrosse, Brian Calabrese scored the game winner. Pleasantville beat St. Joseph. Pleasantville from New York, 11-10 final score in double overtime. It was Ward over Roslyn, New York 12-3, Norwalk 11, West Hill 1. Darien, of course, by 3 over New Canaan. Ludlow got a 10-9 overtime win over Xavier. Danbury 15, Central 1. Trumbull a 12-7 win over Bethel. Wilton beat John Jay 7-6, and Stanford over Pomperog 10-7. From girls lacrosse, Ridgefield beat Weston 16-5 as Caroline Colonel had 5 goals. Ward over Canton 10-6. Northport of New York beat Wilton 12-6. St. Joseph 14, Massac 3. McMahon over Bunnell 9-8. From girls track and field, the St. Joseph girls team placed 6th in its 14-team division at the O'Grady Relays on Saturday. Emma Labash, Lydia Sayer, Amanda Ramos, and Jada Harris broke the meet record of 112.4 in the 100 hurdle relay with a time of 110.48. Labash, Olivia Johnson, Harris, and Leah Lewis took 3rd in the 4x200 with a time of 148.77. And Sophia Jago Seidel, Brianna Hines, and Jada Harris were 6th in the triple jump relay. Last note, Tyler Matakevich, of course, a graduate of St. Joseph and a resident of Stratford, is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. He was drafted in the 7th round on Saturday. We'll talk more about that on Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock today. I did not bring a terrible towel to the studio. Big schedule today, including Norwalk at Staples in baseball, scheduled for 4 o'clock at Staples High School. We intend to have it for you on the HAN network, assuming they play a glance out the window, and it's fingers crossed. Rest of the schedule you can get, of course, online at FCAC.net. With sports, I'm Rob Adams. Kate, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, we have a special guest on the phone today, Marc Jaffe, who is the CEO of Child Care Learning Centers. Based in Stanford, Child Care Learning Centers is a not-for-profit that works to identify needs and develop programs for early childhood education and development. Marc, thanks so much for joining us by phone today.
Well, thank you, Kate. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, Marc, tell us a little bit about CLC. There's a very long history for CLC in the Stanford area.
That's true. In fact, we're 114 years old.
Wow.
And we've been serving Fairfield, for Stanford and the surrounding communities for a very long time. And we focus on 0 to 5. Predominantly 3 to 5 year olds, so it's pre-K, and we serve 1,200 children a year, 51 weeks a year, 10 hours a day, and we're the 3rd largest program of its kind in the state of Connecticut.
Now, Marc, why is early childhood education so important to the overall development of a child?
Well, great question. So, as it turns out, about 85 to 90% of a person's brain is formed by the time they're 5 years old. Imagine that. For the rest of our life, we're only working with the additional 10%. So the greatest impact is with children when they're young, and that's the most formidable time. That's when the synapses and the neurons are all sort of happening, and so that's when we can have a huge impact, and that's the case. And CLC provides not only sort of working with the children in numeracy and literacy, but also in health and wellness and exercise and diet, and social and emotional development, which is critical. We have a strategic relationship with Yale's Center for Emotional Intelligence, which probably is the preeminent provider of a program called Ruler, which focuses on K through 12 social and emotional development. And we've worked with them for the last 3 years to adapt that to pre-K. And we've embedded it in our curriculum, and it's been very meaningful and very impactful.
Now, Marc, would these be children who would otherwise be able to find these kind of services?
So we are funded in a variety of ways, but we run the federal Head Start and Early Head Start programs, and we run the state school readiness and child development programs. Most of our families are a working class and lower income. 70% of them, English isn't the primary language spoken at home, so they are immigrant children. And in fact, we have 28 languages spoken, representing 47 different nationalities. And the reality is that most of our families would not be able to afford, a private program. The irony is that actually the credentials of our staff are superior to many of the private programs. They're highly credentialed, and we are, as a program, NAEYC approved, which is a national accrediting authority, and we're very proud of that. Very important to us.
That's incredible. Now, we do want to mention that this serves Stanford families, and also, if parents work in Stanford, it also helps those children. Is that right?
That's right. So we currently have 8 locations, and they're all in Stanford. However, we have children from the surrounding communities, such as Darien, who come to CLC. We have children whose parents work in town, from Wilton and Weston and Westport, also who attend our program. And for instance, with Greenwich, there's a Head Start program in Greenwich, run wonderfully by collaborators of ours, the family centers, and they are our delegates. So we are the sponsor for Head Start in Greenwich.
Oh, that's great. And now, Marc, you talked about fundraising and keeping these programs going. There is a big fundraising gala this weekend, this Saturday. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So this weekend, at Saturday evening at 6 p.m. on May the 7th at the Stanford Marriott Hotel and Spa, we have our annual gala, and it's called the Magical Evening. And we will have we are honoring 2 people, a corporate honoree, Mark Lautenbach, who is the president and CEO of Pitney Bowes, a wonderful philanthropic organization, and a cultural honoree, which is Marianne Hoberman, who is a renowned children's author and the former U.S. Children's Poet Laureate. Wow. And it turns out Marianne is a child of Stanford, having grown up here many decades ago.
Oh, that's great. And so how important is it to just get people to attend this event and help support the cause?
Well, so CLC is a significant, large nonprofit, but we are not sufficiently funded from government sources, and the private sector is really critical for for us to be able to continue to do the good work that we're doing. This is our largest event of the year, and our organization is really dependent upon events like this. Among other things, we fund a need, and this year we will be funding our food program. So we feed our children 2 meals and a snack a day, and if you do the math, that's 500,000 meals and snacks a year that we feed to hungry children, and that program runs more than a $250,000 deficit. So it's government funded, but it doesn't do the job completely. And so one of the things that's critical to our continuing to do the work that we do is that we source support from the private sector, and so CLC, we're physically located in Stanford, but our children come from the surrounding communities, and in fact our many families work in the surrounding communities, and so we impact all of really Southwest Fairfield County, and so that's why we're expanding our base of support, and it's wonderful to see actually the surrounding communities stepping up, and the communities that in fact Hersom Acorn supports.
Yeah, and so how can people get tickets to Saturday's gala?
Well, let's see. Tickets to the gala. You can contact Sonia Kellepez. That's SONYAKELEPECZ at clcstanford.org, or you can call 203-653-1337, and we would love for folks to support us and to join us. It's going to be a fun evening.
Well, Marc, thanks so much. And if people want more information on the organization, the website is clcstanford.org. Thank you so much for talking with us and all the great work that you do.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks so much, Marc. Well, we are going to step out for a break. When we come back, going to do a quick recap of some of the top stories we're following today on your coffee break after this. For more than 50 years, AAS has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities. With locations in Norwalk, Stanford, and Stratford, AAS will get the job done fast, big or small. At AAS, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning. Find us at AASclean.com or 203-847-8000.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Can't wait for it to get warmer so you can start fishing again? Get over to the Dock Shop, where they have the latest in fishing tackle, marine electronics, boating supplies, and more. But remember, the Dock Shop isn't your average tackle shop. You'll also find the finest selection of nautical apparel, jewelry, home decor, and gifts in New England. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
For over 25 years, Mike Suszek Painting and Wallpapering has been the name to know for residential and commercial properties in Fairfield County. He uses only the top brands, including Benjamin Moore, for impeccable preparation and lasting quality. Call Mike now and receive $500 off any job over $7,000. Mike is currently accepting reservations for spring, so call him today at 203-770-8869 or 203-972-3310. For your custom painting, finishing, and staining needs, it's Mike Suszek.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 500,000 viewers enjoyed our broadcasts in the first 5 months. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We're back on this Monday edition of Your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and we're recapping some of the top stories we're following today, including that a Stratford man died Saturday morning after his car was involved in a crash on Route 8 near Exit 7 in Trumbull. According to state police, 61-year-old Clifford Voigt of 480 James Farm Road was pronounced dead at St. Vincent's Medical Center on Saturday morning following the three-car wreck. Police said Voigt was traveling south on Route 8 at about 9:30 in the morning between exits 8 and 7 when the accident occurred. Police said a Suzuki Sport utility vehicle driven by 29-year-old Jonathan Hernandez of Wallingford dramatically reduced its speed in the left lane, causing 32-year-old Derek Michaels of Vernon to slow down his Jeep Grand Cherokee, causing Voigt to crash into the vehicles. State police said that wreck remains under investigation. And a Bridgeport man jumped or fell to his death from a 6th-floor window at a public housing complex early this morning, according to the Connecticut Post. The man, who was not immediately identified, likely jumped from the window and was pronounced dead, according to Av Harris, the police department spokesman. The man may have been under the influence of drugs, police said, and toxicology tests are being conducted as part of an autopsy. And a New Canaan man was one of 2 people charged by New York City police with reckless endangerment and trespassing on Saturday morning after they attempted to climb up a beam of the Brooklyn Bridge in order to take a photograph of the sunrise. Scott Lockett, 24 years old of New Canaan, and 25-year-old Sean Cody of Southport were arrested after trying to scale a beam in the middle of the bridge shortly after 6 in the morning. Police arrived and ordered them down, then arrested them. And throughout the month of May, the HAN Network and Silver Hill Hospital in New Canaan are working together to raise awareness and encourage a conversation about mental health issues. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and HAN Network's broadcasting division, That's Us, will feature interviews with medical professionals at Silver Hill throughout the month. The interviews will provide information from experts on a number of topics, including addiction, body image, heroin in the suburbs, seeking help for teen, and options for chronic pain treatment. Those interviews will be playing every Wednesday on this show, Coffee Break. An interview will also be featured this Wednesday on CT Pulse, which airs at 12:30. This week, first on Coffee Break on Wednesday, May 4th, we'll be talking about why some people are predisposed to addiction with Physician-in-Chief at Silver Hill, Dr. Eric Collins. And then at 12:30 on CT Pulse, we'll be talking body image and eating disorders in the social media age with Dr. Aaron Clyfield, who is the director of Silver Hill's Eating Disorders Program. So be sure to check out those interviews all month long. We're going to wrap things up here on Your Coffee Break, but of course, Nutmeg Sports coming up at 2 and 4 o'clock, baseball, Norwalk at Staples. Be sure to check that out live on the HAN Network, and we'll see you tomorrow at 11 for Your Coffee Break.